Hello, and welcome to Pittsburgh CLO's Close-Ups, Cocktails, and Conversation, CLO's weekly streaming show highlighting some of our wonderful alumni and giving you a behind-the-scenes look at the people who keep your favorite musical theater company entertaining. I'm Mark Fleischer, CLO's producing director and your host for Close-Ups. This is our third episode, so hopefully third time's a charm. We are lucky to have the charming Beth Leavel as a guest today, along with CLO executive producer and CEO Van Kaplan, plus this week's cabaret moment featuring Pittsburgh's own Chris Laitta. CLO's Close-Ups, Cocktails, and Conversations is streamed live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. Plus, you can watch past episodes on those outlets, as well as at pittsburghclo.org. So if you're watching live, thanks for joining us. Let us know you're here by posting in the comments section. You can even have a question for one of our guests. And let people know you're watching by sharing this live post. And if you're watching a recorded episode, thanks for checking us out. Send me an email. Let us know what you think of the show. Before we get started, I hope you're all safe, healthy, and sheltering with someone you care about and who cares about you. The CLO staff has been working from home for almost 6 weeks now, and I'm happy to report that everyone is healthy and busy working to make sure we have incredible shows ready for you when we are allowed to gather together again and enjoy musical theater. We're weathering the situation as best we can. Of course, it's now been, I think, 11 weeks since my last haircut, but the only person probably really bothered by this is my mom if she's watching. Hi, Mom. But of course, if that's my worst complaint, I think I'm doing pretty well. But for now, we will connect with one another through the wonders of technology. With that, let me introduce my very first guest. Originally from North Carolina, she made her Broadway debut in 42nd Street and has gone on to do 12 additional Broadway shows, including The Drowsy Chaperone, for which she won Tony, Drama Desk, and Outer Critics Circle Awards. And most recently, she was hailed for a Tony-nominated performance as the diva Dee Dee Allen in The Prom. Pittsburgh audiences have also got to experience her amazing comedy chops and stellar belt in CLO's summer productions of The Pajama Game, A Little Night Music, and Into the Woods. It is my pleasure to welcome Beth Leavel. Hey! I've got mine. It's fine. It's cocktails and conversations. Cheers to you, Miss Beth.
Cheers all to cocktails and conversation.
How are you doing?
I'm, given the circumstances, I am fine.
Sheltering in place?
Yes, sheltering in place with someone I love, my fiance and my kitty, my one-eyed wonder kitty, and taking it day by day. And again, just to reiterate what you said, so thankful for modern technology.
Yeah, are you doing a lot of these Zoom conversations? And
like right after when I'm finished with this, my whole prom family is getting together.
Right, I saw that. So you're going to do a little reading and all the fun stuff with people's proms.
What did my parents do when they didn't have technology? Like there was like a hurricane in North Carolina. How was it that little battery operated radio that they lived with?
It's interesting because I think about like my grandparents who, were in World War II and separated, and my mom even when they were in Vietnam and my dad was there and here, and they used to actually record on like little recordings and mail them to each other so they could hear things. But here we are able to, talk back and forth. And I've had high school reunions on this technology and college reunions. So at least we're not totally alone.
We're really lucky, particularly now that I get to communicate and see people and just keep in contact with people.
Yeah. So I imagine, because especially us in the theater, we're people, right? We want to be around. That's what I've missed. People
who need people.
See, I knew I'd get you to sing for us.
Thank you. The last line I'm doing like gypsy. So anyway.
Yeah, I know. So actually it's interesting to note we've done 3 episodes and you're the second North Carolinian we've had.
Who was the first?
Clay Aiken.
Oh my God. He was my second man in chair.
I know. And he's coming back this summer next summer, 2021 to play man in chair. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Awesome. He was so wonderful in the role.
I bet he is. He was our teen angel last year in Greece. So
Sweet.
What is it about you North Carolinians? You're very talented down there, I guess.
Thank you.
Did you did you do shows and stuff down there when you were a young person?
No, you know what? It was very interesting. I was just asked this, like, when did I get started? Did I start when I was very young? And I did not start until my senior year in high school, when my best friend asked me would I like to audition for the spring musical, and
Right.
I kind of had no idea what it was. It was for Brigadoon, but I remember I was cast as the
Right.
third lead, and I remember walking into the first day of rehearsal. And in high school you rehearse, I don't know, 7 years before you actually do the performance. So I remember the very first day of rehearsal being in that room and sitting there for the first time thinking, that light bulb went off in my soul, in my head, thinking, who are these people and how can I spend the rest of my life with them?
Right.
But my parents were like, get a real job, and they were wise enough to know that at that time in North Carolina, I could not have made a living being an actor, but I just kept plugging away, and I went to school, and then I went and got an MFA, and then I finally moved to New York and getting ready to do my 14th Broadway show, God willing.
What was it like moving from North Carolina and then going to New York City? Had you been there before, or did you just step off the bus?
I kind of was like a Peggy Sawyer, but I'd been there one time when I was 12 because my father dragged us up there for the Lions Club International Convention.
Okay.
And what's very interesting about that, I look back now and I go, are you kidding? When I was 12, I had the opportunity to go with my father and his friend on a subway ride and to a Yankees game. Or I could have gone with my mother and her friend to see Angela Lansbury in Maine.
Right.
And I chose the Yankees game.
Well,
I regret that now. And then I went to when I was at Meredith College in Raleigh, North Carolina, we took a bus ride. We left at 7:00 at night, arrived at 8:00 the next morning, went to a matinee, Greece. That was the second trip. And all I remember is that we were literally on the very back row of the balcony, very, very, very back row. We hadn't slept. I'm not sure we had eaten. And the person in front of me had this sandwich. It smelled of pastrami. And that's all I remember about Greece. I wanted that fatty meat sandwich so badly. I remember little bits about Greece, but I also saw Chorus Line. That
Greece,
trip, that kind of changed my life.
Yeah, Chorus Line changed mine as well. So it's
pastrami sandwich. Come on,
greasy meat. It all works out.
Fatty meats, nothing wrong with that.
No.
That was so. When I moved to New York, I was terrified, but there was something driving me that I was go anyway, and that was a long time ago.
Did you come with a plan or just a dream?
Plan? No. I came with a big dream and probably a little too much naivete, but I had a place to stay and I had enough money in the bank account that I wasn't going to starve. And I just hit the road. I remember every Thursday, which doesn't happen anymore, but every Thursday I would walk down to a kiosk in front of Smiler's, which is a delicatessen on 45th and 9th Avenue. And I would buy Backstage magazine that came out every Thursday and I would take it home. And it was like biblical. I would go through every single thing and circle what I was going to audition for. And I just hit the ground running. And I was really in the right place at the right time and lucky and all of the above. And I've been lucky enough to work at CLO 3 times.
There you go. I know. And so, and knowing that there's no such thing as an overnight success, how much time passed between you arriving and 42nd Street, which was your Broadway debut?
Yeah, you don't want to know. It's not much. I'm sorry. It was like 8 months. So I was really lucky. I was really lucky.
Talented too.
Well, and I was in the right place at the right time and circumstances were in my favor. And I did 42nd Street for 4 years. And and I was the breadwinner at the time and I didn't want to leave. I was having such an amazing time being on Broadway.
Right. You've gone on, of course, and then done these, onto your 14th show, we hope soon, but, Drowsy and The Promise recently for your accolades of those two things. And what makes interesting about those two, of course, that they were created with some similar colleagues in terms of new work. And I know that new work is something you really enjoy and originating roles. So talk to me about the joy of originating a role. What's that different for our audience that may not understand, walking in and no one's done it before. There's no video, there's no movie, there's no someone to watch.
Exactly.
What is it?
You can, and to have the privilege of giving birth to something in a room that you feel safe with creative people that are very smart. you have the opportunity to put your DNA, your comedy DNA, your singing chop DNA, your acting DNA, all over something that's never been done before. That is such a rare and amazing privilege that I've been able to do a couple of times. And it's so satisfying, and no one can tell you, well, when so-and-so did it. It's like, you did it, you created it, and they write it to your strengths, they write it to your comedy, they write it to your voice. It's really, 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 really special.
When you did Drowsy, had you worked with Bob Martin and Casey before? So that was your first show with them.
Casey, are you ready for this? Yeah. Casey was in the ensemble of Showboat that I did at North Carolina Theater 12 zillion years ago.
Right.
And my agents sent me the script to Crazy for You, and I was reading it, and we were at Tech or something, and Casey and I had hit it off, and I just said, you know what, you should read this, because I think he was an amazing tapper and, a great character actor. I said, you should read this, and he did, and he auditioned, and he got it. So I feel completely responsible for his success.
And we should say Casey Nicola, who's the director, for those who don't know at home, who directed many, many shows on Broadway.
Mean
and two
Girl.
Very important ones for you.
So I'm really lucky. I like to call myself, I like being a part of Nicola Rep.
Right. So obviously your Broadway experience is great, but we've been lucky enough to have you in 3 shows at CLO on the summer season, before all that great success of Tony Awards, when you came and you did Pajama Game and Into the Woods and Little Night Music. So as someone who's worked on The Great White Way, what is it about the regional theaters? And yes, I'm plugging for a thing for how much you love Pittsburgh, but what is it about the regional theater? Because people think that, New York's it, but so many people come and work at CLO and Sacramento and all these other places. What is it about returning to that?
It's nice to get out of New York, to go to a theater that is so connected to its community, and how the people care so much about what's happening in that community, whether it's Pittsburgh or St. Louis or Sacramento. That's really special. And the people that come back every summer, and you get to kind of know people if you keep coming back. I just have to say, a little sidebar, I'm not even sure you knew this, Mark, that when I was doing Into the Woods, I was doing The Witch in Into the Woods, which is a really complex, difficult show. And when you only have 10 days of rehearsal, which is what the summer jobs usually are, you do so much homework prior to that. So you try to go in off book, but doing like I said, something so complex like this Sondheim show, so wonderful. I walked into first day of rehearsal, and the community there is so loving. And literally the second morning of my rehearsal for Into the Woods, I got a phone call that my father had passed.
Oh.
To this day, the people at CLO lifted me, supported me, gave me every option on the planet, got me on a plane that afternoon. I cannot tell you how much I appreciated their love and support. I was back. Thank you, my father. I was back in 28 hours, ready to rehearse with a whole nother thing to give that show.
Oh, I bet.
So that was such a memorable summer for me. And I did that whole Into the Woods for my dad, and to sing, "Careful of the things you wish children will listen." That filling my soul and my heart was a real wow moment in my career, and something that I hold so deeply personal and thankful for CLO.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. It was obviously before my time, and I hadn't heard that story, but to know that I do know that company was very close. From people I've talked to, from stage management to actors who were involved in it, and obviously to hear that story. It's sort of interesting that, I've often said that, if we don't take care of the people in our lives, the stories we're telling on stage are meaningless. That we have to honor what's real in our real lives to make the fictional. So I'm glad to hear that experience. Have you had a chance to enjoy Pittsburgh at all, or do we just keep you so busy when you're there that you're in the rehearsal room?
You keep me too busy.
I know, that's our to this great new city.
Oh, have you been to this restaurant? I'm like, What? I said, I'm learning lines in my hotel room. No,
well,
I went to one restaurant. I don't even know. It was like a kidnapping. They put me in a car and we went, and it was like a side of a mountain.
Right.
And it was stunning. And I had a wonderful evening, but I couldn't tell you where I was.
I think I know where you were, but let's just, keep you in suspense for that. But no, I think that's an interesting question is you come to work, it's 8 days, 10 days, and then it's done in 8 more days. That sort of lifestyle is a lot. I know. And then again, as actors often tell us, like especially in their first time, at the end, they're like, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah.
There's been that accomplishment.
It's a nice badge to wear. It's like, I did that. I did CLO. Yeah.
Well, great.
And I enjoyed it.
You survived. No, and we have great audiences.
CLO. And you have great, like I said, your audiences are like almost like family. They're so supportive and they're there, that's really special.
It is, because I've now been here 6 years already. And I remember like my first year going out, and I would tell people at like a store, and this woman at Macy's like, oh, I used to go with my grandmother and we sat in the Melody tent when they were building the stadium. And I would go, and that generation to generation aspect of it, I think is just unique. Next year we turn 75. So.
Well, happy birthday. You don't get a lot of that on Broadway. You know what I mean? It's much more, there's not that community family lineage of passing on tickets and all that, grandmother to mother to daughter, that kind of thing.
Before we move to my next question, I do want to tell our audience if they have questions for Beth, and of course can put them in the comment section, and we'll see if we can get her to answer some of them or take requests. I do want to talk. So right before all this broke and we had to shelter in place, you did get to do your show at 54 Below, right?
So, I'm supposed to be doing it right now, next week again. Yeah. Anyway.
You are. Oh, but what's it like to put a show together? Dee Dee and the Drowsy Chaperone, and all those are characters. What's it like to go out and put something together that's you? Well,
it's interesting. Creating a show, I've done one there before, but this show, the title was It's Not About Me, which was a big song I sang as Dee Dee Allen in the prom. And I realized that this time around, the fans, people I care about, just wanted to hear about the arc of my career, the journey, dare I say, and they wanted to hear show tunes. And they wanted to hear stories about the song, and they wanted to hear stories about my life. So that was, the show was called, like I said, It's Not About Me, but it was all about me. And it was very organic every night, even though I had a set list, but I would sing songs and explain. I have so many stories. When you're getting ready to do your 14th Broadway show, you've got so many stories. So we shared a lot of stories, and I may have sung a preview of a song in a show I'm about ready to do, hopefully. And then we just talked a lot about life in New York, and I sang songs that meant something to me in some way, shape, or form. And it was a really fun evening.
Well, it's such a different environment there versus, a 2,800 seat house at the CLO or 1,500 on Broadway, to now be, if you haven't been to Feinstein's 54 Below, it's this very intimate, almost speakeasy environment below the surface of the street on 54. And, it's only maybe 20 feet to the back wall.
It's very intimate. I can actually eat food from the table in front of me, and did.
Oh, good. I hope can you make a restaurant recommendation then from there?
I absolutely can.
Well, good.
Because it's Beth. You're not hiding behind anyone. You're just sharing.
Right. And we are, fingers crossed, for the next show, Devil Wears Prada. Are you preparing for that? Do you have an intern around the house to yell at? How are
my poor fiance, Adam. Yes, I'm practicing being Miranda Priestley to my cat and Adam.
Well, that's interesting, because you're originating a role, but it's already a role.
I know.
Sort of an interesting mix of approaching that. Is there something different as you look at that, or?
Yeah, it will be, because it's such an iconic film and such an iconic role that everyone loves. I just have to figure out how to stay truthful to that love for this Miranda Priestley, and yet my Miranda Priestley has to sing.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting process. I really can't wait. We have a lot of smart people in the room, and I love our director, Anna Shapiro.
Oh, yeah, she's great.
I know. It's going to be really, once we get to do it, it's going to be really exciting. And people, it's nice to be in a show for once that has a brand, because I did Drowsy Chaperone and Prom, and people are like, what is that about? What is that about? But I say The Devil Wears Prada, and people go, oh my gosh, they can't wait. So it'll be fun to do that, see what that feels like.
And you're doing it in Anna's town, Chicago, right?
So, I'm going to go to Chicago. We're supposed to have been there 2 weeks ago. But anyway, whatever.
Those who don't know, Anna Shapiro is a Steppenwolf company member and artistic director. And I'm curious to see how she brings all that August Osage County to to Devil Wears Prada. So I'm told we actually have a question from the audience. So let's see what we have. Do we have it? Do we have a question for Beth? I'm told we do. Oh, there we are. Other than Drowsy, what was Beth's favorite show that she did on Broadway? From Christine Kovas.
The Prom, again, because Dee Dee is my inner evil diva twin, and it was written for me. Mm-hmm. And I had so much fun with her and the company and being in a show where the message resonated so deeply.
Right.
Even in something as simple as a musical comedy, I feel like that show changed a lot of lives.
Yeah. No, I think it did too. So many people talked about it and their experience, and and I think that I also liked about it the multi-generational aspect of it.
Exactly.
That we don't see that a lot. We tend to see just one, and it's almost Chekhovian in its own sense of doing all the different generations through it, and the journey that the older characters take, as well as the younger ones.
Yes, we called ourselves the olds. It just made
the olds.
We were the olds. It was like four of us. It's like, are the olds? The olds need a rehearsal because we can't do the hip hop for the finale. So we would go to the timeout rehearsal space, and they would break it down, and it took us weeks and weeks to learn how to fake that.
And where young people, ready.
Like, bam.
And now you're keeping it up in your living room, I'm sure, with Friday night dance parties, right?
Pretty much.
Do we have another question for Beth? Beth, you seem to have so much confidence as a performer. Have you ever experienced stage fright? What would you do to deal with it? That's from Shauna on YouTube.
Great question. I'm so glad that I appear confident, and most of the time I really am. But yes, I do get stage fright. I do get nervous. But part of that, the older I get, I realize I can use that as fuel. Mm-hmm. Because there's a fine line between nerves and excitement. And mm-hmm. If you'll just breathe through that, your nerves will eventually turn into excitement. And then the curtain goes up, you just jump into it and the nerves disappear. And then it becomes thrilling. But like I said, sometimes I think the nerves give me fuel,
really,
energy, and hopefully they'll never, ever, ever take my joy away.
And has it changed over time, or do you always still kind of get it here and there?
Oh, I know. The more quote unquote successful I get, I think the more I have to think about it. It's like, oh my gosh, well, let's see what Tony Winter, Beth Leavel is going to do. Oh. So I'm so glad that I appear so confident. Because like I said, once I'm in those shoes right. and performing, I am confident.
Great.
I am strong and wrong.
Right.
And making the choices and living.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we'll talk a little bit in a second, but I got to witness you working on a new musical for us at CLO and taking those risks and being aware, making it big and wrong, and then figuring out the better choices. So before we get to that, let's go to our third question.
Yeah, what's the square root of 472?
We have a surprise guest.
Oh, great. Thanks. Hi, Mama.
For those who don't know, this is Julie Williams, performer extraordinaire from Pittsburgh, who was in the reading of the Double Threat Trio with Beth, and we decided we'd surprise her. I know they have a close relationship in the 2 weeks they spent together, which probably felt like 2 months, given new work.
It was 3 weeks.
It was 3 weeks.
Oh, it was 3 weeks, wasn't it? I don't know.
The work is so intense in those 3 weeks, doing, trying to give birth to this new musical. Right. We're bonded for life.
Well, so Drew, since you're here, we'll ask you the question. What's it like to work with Beth? Are the rumors true? No.
Oh my gosh. I think anyone would be a little scared and a little intimidated when their icon walks into a room. Oh, stop.
No.
So, but we were all in the same boat. We were all terrified. because we were creating these roles, and the millions of pages of rewrites that you get every single day, every single other 3 hours at times. We were all in the same boat. So we quickly had to come together and lean on each other. And just working with Beth, she is genuine and giving and hilarious and the most down-to-earth person you will ever meet. So it was a joy.
The first day of rehearsal, I walked in and we sat around the table. There was only 4 of us in the cast.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we even have a picture of that as well. Do we have a reading picture?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there we are.
Gosh.
Oh,
Yes.
and my thing of that is, Beth, do you ever look at hats the same again?
Yeah. You cannot believe the curse words that came out of my mouth. Those, it's like,
So just so everyone who did not get to see the show, Beth played Millicent Masterson, this director, producer, does everything, and she wore different hats. And literally the playwright decided, and director, that you should wear a different hat for every character.
and it was what like 6 or 7 characters. Each one was a different voice, a man, a woman. It was awesome.
But I can imagine juggling those hats.
But I sat around the table. You know, it's such an interesting business we do. I'm getting ready to. We're so exposed, and it takes such amount of courage to do what we do and to sit around the table and go, I'm going to really suck here for a while. Sorry. But I sat around the table and I remember asking Drew and Jeremy and Alex, I'm like, does anyone else know this show? And they were like, no, it's our first time. It's like, oh, thank God. Because I had this horrible nightmare that I would come in and they'd be like off book and it'd refine their characters and maybe had costume choices. And I'm like, how do you pronounce my name?
Well, Adam Overett hadn't even written the script by the time we got there, our amazing writer. So
we really took care of each other. It was a very safe room and we were allowed to be complete and utter idiots and failures. And then I think the end result was absolutely magnificent.
Well, I remember never forget the first reading of the show. Poor Adam, but it ran like 2.5 hours without intermission or something like that. He had every joke. I mean, we often joke here that good plays and shows are not written, they're rewritten. And poor Adam's over there cutting stuff because it's, I'm told Adam is actually watching this. So yes, Adam, it ended up being great.
But that's why it's so great that you have something like Spark. I mean, what opportunities do playwrights have to have people listen to their work and have actors actually try to formulate some kind of opinion and decisions. So thank you. Thanks for doing that for the writers and for us storytellers.
It was such a great experience. And obviously, unfortunately, you could not go on to do the role because some little skit called The Prom came up. You know, Pittsburgh, Broadway, Pittsburgh, I get it. But Michelle Duffy took over that role and did an amazing job with it in this company. And she's the one that had to walk in with these 3 knowing it. So she had the real experience you were afraid of.
Sorry.
But she was great. No, she was great. And as we go through that, but I think it's amazing what we've done. So Drew, anything less you want to share or say about our friend before we let you go?
Oh my gosh. We'll catch up on FaceTime.
Yes, please.
We will. I miss you so much.
How's your kid?
Well, one is over here right now.
I can't get Malcolm in here.
I don't know if you can see her. She's just hanging.
She's asleep. Okay. Your partners.
Yeah. How's Malcolm? Is he good?
I can't believe he's not here. He usually is like my coach on the chair. Come on, let's get.
This was also such a great experience for us because one of our goals, as you've seen through the summer or through this, is to have New York talent come in, local talent, build those bridges, build those relationships. And I know that this has been a special one over time, as Drew has shared with me and you have as well, seeing each other beyond those 3 weeks in the studio. So we're glad to have brought the friendship together.
Thank you.
All right, let's say goodbye to Drew. Goodbye, Drew.
See you.
We thought we'd surprise you.
That's awesome. I love that cast so much, and the stage manager and everybody. It was really a great time in my life.
All right. Well, we're thrilled to have had so many things. We've got one last segment before we let you go. That's a regular, which we call Thank You 5, as in at the end of the show when there's 5 minutes left and you tell the stage manager, thank you 5. So I've got 5 quick questions. First things that pop in your head. All right. So what's your dream role?
I've done it.
You've done it, which is?
Gypsy. I did Mama.
Oh, you did Mama. Great.
Good. And I'm sorry, I have 2 questions. I'm sorry, 2 answers. And the role that's written next. Don't know what that is.
as the consummate new works person, that would be the right one, right? Is there a role you'd love to revive?
Mama Rose.
Mama Rose.
It hasn't been done too often. And you know what? I was saying this the other day, and people are going, why? But I would love for someone to look again at the musical Applause. Because I would really like to do that Lauren Bacall role now.
All right. Filing that away. There's someone coming up next. We could talk to you about that. And what are your dressing room essentials?
Oh my goodness. It depends on the dressing room. Like for prom, it was the size of this desk. And thank God Angie and I loved each other. If I have the luxury of laying up a dressing room, that's great. Like Bandstand. When I was at Bandstand, my dressing room became the green room.
Right.
There was no other place for anyone to congregate. So I had a couch and a coffee table and a rug and a chair and a refrigerator, and it was like a den. And that made me very happy because people could come in there. It was like, because I wasn't on stage that much, so people would come in there. It's like, oh, here's when Kevin's coming. Oh, here's when the dancers are coming. And we would always like one big living room, 8 times a week.
That's great. That's great. Fourth question. What are you listening to or watching to help you get through this challenging time?
Such a good question. Netflix. I'm not a big TV watcher. I think because I get so much sound input in my life with doing 8 shows a week and living in New York City. Sometimes I just like to come home and be quiet. But I have watched everything, getting suggestions of what to watch. We just finished Unorthodoxed. I watched Next in Fashion. Adam and I were doing a game where we had a deck of cards. It only lasted one night, but I still want to see if I can implement it. Where we shuffled the cards, whoever drew the highest card got to choose a movie that they knew the other person probably hadn't seen, appreciate. So I drew the high card that night, and believe it or not, I'm kind of a sci-fi fan, and he'd never seen The Matrix or Star Wars.
Oh, you have to rectify that.
Yeah. So now it's his turn. So I'll probably be watching, Fellini films or something.
Great. And fifth and final question. First place you'll go once we're allowed to gather in public again?
To see my kids.
See your kids. Are you doing lots of FaceTime or things like Zoom?
It's so funny. They're not, it's like, Mom, I hate FaceTime. It's like, I don't care. I need to see you. So just suck it up and let me see your room. You're going to clean that,
Family dinners. Well,
I want to see my friends and my kids.
Well, good. Well, again, I really appreciate you taking some time to come on out of your busy schedule, and have fun with your prom reunion after this. I know.
That just happened. So anyway, we're going to have a prom reunion.
Oh, that'll be great. So, well, thanks for coming on. We'll get you back to Pittsburgh very soon. And best to you and Adam, and please stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. Be safe, everybody.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye, Mark.
Bye. Wasn't that fun? Oh, she's so great. And to have watched her work and to see her on stage, if you saw her in any of the shows at CLO or you saw her in Drowsy Chaperone or Prom, it's great to always find these people are so lively and warm and generous, even when you meet them in real life. So we're thrilled to have brought her to you. All right. So next up, we want to introduce the executive producer and CEO of CLO, that's a lot, is Van Kaplan. And we're going to have a great conversation about what's happening at CLO and where we're going from here in this challenging time. Welcome to the show, Van.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Mark.
Get centered, right? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We started the day on a video conference. We end the day on a video conference. It's just our life now, right?
It seems like they start around 7 in the morning and they end around 7 at night. I don't think any of us have worked as hard as we're working now. We really were never set up to work from home at CLO. We like to be in the theater. We like to be around people. And this is kind of a new life for all of us.
Yeah, I think that the people was a lot harder, because we were about to go on 6 weeks. And we literally said, we went home on a Friday and we were told, don't come in on Monday, stay home. We had been planning to a test day on Tuesday.
That's right.
So this is not a drill, is what we had dealt with.
Well, we wanted to make sure all the IT worked, if in fact we had to.
Yeah.
And we never ended up going back to the office.
No, poor Mike Marasco has been working remotely, and our IT people that we call remotely, but we seem to be doing it. We meet every morning and we talk through, but it is people that I too miss. I was always so in and out of Cindy's office and your office and Mike's office. I was like, this is just weird, but anyway. So I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a busy few weeks, and I know your focus has had to change and working with CLO, and I guess that is a first question. How has your focus changed as we've met as a team, as we've gone into this crisis?
Well, I think all of us have, had to connect in different ways than we ever have before. Working from home kind of, it forces you to focus a little stronger because there's distractions all around. But I want to say that I think the staff, we have a small staff at CLO. We, as you know, we kind of increase when we get to the summer to about 400 people. But during the year, there's about a 30 or so person staff. And I think we've all come together very tightly, and we're communicating very, very well. And you would think that would be the first thing that you'd lose by being separated and not being in the same room with people and be able to brainstorm and do all the things we do at CLO. But because we're all now focused on, and we have so many things to accomplish in during the day, that we're focused more. And I think we're communicating really, really well.
I think
you're doing a great job with this, with your new role as talk show host. And
did you ever think there'd be a CLO TV show? I mean,
No, I mean, that's one of the things. I don't think we ever, certainly in the education department, I don't think we ever would have conceived that we could have classes online the way we're doing it. Every single class at CLO has gone online. That's 192 classes.
Yeah. And
there on Saturday, I think we have something like over 50 classes going on Saturday, and they've all been going on successfully.
Yep.
And the parents and the students seem to really appreciate the fact that we're coming into their homes and we're continuing what we do so well at CLO.
I think what's been really the communication, you're right, has gotten tighter, but I think also the ability or the drive of the staff to think outside the box has been really impressive, whether it's the academy or some of the projects we've done while trying to figure out how to maintain what we already do, to maintain communication with our people.
We've all been challenged in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, this is what I normally do. How can I do that in a new and different way that, connects with our constituency, and keeps us kind of in people's minds. But we're looking forward to the time that we can get back together, back into the theater, because that's who we are.
Yeah. Obviously Pittsburgh CLO is your top priority, my top priority during the day. And even while we're sleeping, I know we both all got up and been like, I had an idea or I had a worry. How are you filling your time when you get away from work? We've all talked about weekends have become more precious to us. Are you doing major house renovations, walking? What are you doing to kind of keep yourself a little sane?
Mary Jane and I, we try to get out and walk every day. We try to get a little exercise, although the weather hasn't really been in our favor. I have a little garden that is inside. I can show it to you if you want to see it.
Yeah,
it's right over here.
Show and tell.
I appreciate it. There it is.
Right.
I am growing herbs, and I have a little Meyer lemon tree that I grew from a seed from a Meyer lemon that we got. I germinated the seed, and it's doing quite well. But I've got a little broccoli going. I've got
there you go,
basil, and keeping myself busy here around the house. And we check in on our neighbors and make sure everybody's okay.
Good. we've had some challenging times and weeks, but, we're not alone in this. I know you keep in touch, as do I, with our colleagues across the country. You're involved with the Broadway League, National Alliance of Musical Theater, even just calling general colleagues. What's the temperature you're hearing outside of Pittsburgh as well as Pittsburgh in terms of theater and where our colleagues are?
Yeah, we've had almost weekly phone calls with all of our colleagues across the country, people that run musical theaters, but also the IPN, which is a group of presenters that are across the country. And as you said, I'm on the board of the Broadway League. So we're communicating with everyone, trying to get a sense of how to move forward, what the general thinking is in terms of when and how we would possibly reopen. But most importantly for us, it was, decision making. Mm-hmm. We had a summer season that we were set to do, and we had geared up for that season. We, in fact, spent all year preparing for our summer season, and, to cancel that and essentially move it to next year, right. That was a really hard and difficult decision to make. So talking to colleagues across the country has really been helpful, right. in some of that decision making. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while before we'll be able to get together again in the theater. Mm-hmm. And I think that's difficult to try to just comprehend right. how that's going to happen. And, the theater and large sporting events and big arenas and those kind of things are going to be the very last thing that are going to be the things that are reopened. Right. So, dealing with that and trying to figure out what to do when we should have canceled our season right. and how to make that decision. That's been the most difficult, I think, decision certainly the most difficult decision I've ever had to make at the CLO. And hopefully we made the right one. I think we did. I think people appreciate that we're being thoughtful about it. Yeah. We'll just move on and continue to plan and move forward.
Yeah, I think that's our thing. We spent a lot of time looking at options and assumptions and trying to, anything. I'd give anything for a crystal ball. But that, that decision, I will agree, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. But yet, to a fault, without exception, rather, the actors I called, the designers, all applauded for the decision, understood what it was, even though they were losing work. But really, at the end, appreciated our concern and their belief in CLO as an organization that will go on. And I think one of the things that was great that we were actually able to announce a 75th anniversary season for 2021. Oh, look, a new logo, 75th anniversary, as we go through. And I know you're excited about the titles as I am. So I'm going to let you walk through what these are and sort of give us some insights on, why some of these shows were chosen or what's so special about some of these shows. We can put up the logo, I know, and we also have some B-roll, but there's the whole lineup, Van. So what is it that's really got you going?
We felt like since we were planning to cancel the season that we should go ahead and announce the 2021 season. It's our 75th anniversary, so we've been planning this season for quite a long time. So there were some shows that we knew that were going to be in this 75th anniversary season. And then there were, two of the biggest, most popular shows of this year were Chorus Line and Sister Act. So we thought, well, let's move those two shows to next year and add it to some of the shows that we've already been working on. Mm-hmm. Chorus Line is, we're seeing some B-roll from our 2012 production, which is just fantastic. Bayark Lee is going to direct it. She directed this production as well. And it will be truly stunning. And that was one of the shows I was really looking forward to seeing on the stage. And we cast the show. Everything was done, so that'll be in the season. We're opening with Jersey Boys. It's a show that I've been trying to bring to CLO for 5 or more years. Right. And I'm really thrilled that we're able to do that show. This is the Broadway National Tour. It's going to kick off our 75th year. It's really wonderful for us to be able to do this show. It's one of my favorite shows. It's, just the audience is just going to love it. They, you know, it's been in Pittsburgh before, but we're thrilled to have it to kick off our year. And then Kinky Boots, well, that's a show that we've had a great association with. Of course, when we did it last, Billy Porter came to Pittsburgh to revise his Broadway role. I don't know. Billy's pretty busy now, so we probably won't be able to get him. But it'll be great to have the show back. Of course, Chorus Line we talked about is next, and then The Drowsy Chaperone. And,
right.
You know, we just heard from Beth Leavel, who you know, starred and won a Tony Award for that show, and we're thrilled to do it. Clay Aiken is coming back to CLO to star as Man in Chair, so that's going to be fun. Clay is not only just a wonderful guy, but a great fun on stage, so that should be fun. And then Sister Act, again, it was one of the most popular shows for this current year, so we wanted to move it to next year so people will get to see it. I'm really thrilled that show is going to leave Pittsburgh and go on tour from here. And then we close out with Godspell, and it's the 50th anniversary of Godspell, and Godspell got its start at Carnegie Mellon. So, you know, it has its Pittsburgh roots, and it'll be a wonderful thing to end up our 75th year with that show. So, you know, we're very excited about it. We're out of the gate. I've gotten a lot of emails. People seem to really think it's a solid season, and we're hoping that our 75th year is going to be the best yet.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great way to celebrate 75 years, you know, from starting back in 1946 to where we are now as an organization is quite the journey, and definitely going to deserve the celebration. I think those shows are great that we were able to get. You know, it's obviously the silver lining to be able to look to that, but there's challenges ahead for the organization, not having a season, moving shows. We have a very dedicated staff, board of directors, support organizations in the Guild and the ambassadors, but, you know, we shouldn't probably hide it. There are challenges, and we're going to be coming to people to talk to them. And can you talk a little bit about that from your perspective as executive director and CEO of where we're going and what we're going to need to do?
Well, it's a difficult time, but you know, it's a difficult time for everybody. I mean, everyone is hurting right now, and a lot of people out of work, and it's just going to be a difficult year. As I said, I mean, we spent all year gearing up for the season that was going to take place in a few months, and it's not going to happen. And you know, the thing about the CLO is that 75% of our revenue comes from ticket sales. So, and most of that happens June, July, and August. So we've spent, you know, an awful lot of resources over the past year gearing up for the season, but then it's not going to happen, and people hopefully go with us to next year, but it kind of leaves a hole in terms of the needed funds that it takes to run the organization, just operational staff and healthcare and utilities and rent and all of those kind of things. So we launched a Raise the Curtain campaign, which is a capital campaign. And the purpose of the campaign is to raise funds to help us kind of bridge the gap between now and then. We have about $3 million we need to raise. You know, the best possible thing, if people are able to, is to donate their current season tickets back to the CLO, because then we can use those resources right now. That's the best possible thing people could do, is to donate their tickets back and then sign up for next year and come see the shows next year. And you know, if people are able to do that, and I know there are a lot of people out of work, and you know, as I said, they're hurting right now. But we will be launching a campaign, and we've got a really strong board of directors and a lot of great donors and Guild members and ambassadors and people that love and support the CLO. So we feel confident we'll be able to raise this money and move forward.
Yeah, and as you said, it's money that's not just for making sure these shows happen, but the education programs and things that happen at the Cabaret. It's a big organization that has lots of impact on the community. And it's been great to already see the response, people donating tickets back and buying next year, and people even interested who weren't subscribers looking at next year already. So I think
we've actually sold a lot of new subscriptions. Yeah. And what's really amazing is we've gotten a lot of new students because the class is online.
Right.
And, parents are signing their kids up because it gives them something to do.
Right. And suddenly teachers and students are not locked by geography in Pittsburgh.
Right.
We're starting to see teachers like Beth has come in, and Telly Leong and some others that are amazing Broadway performers, and even students we're talking to maybe coming in from wherever they are to experience this top-notch education program that we've had. So
that's probably something that's going to live on. I mean, if there's any silver lining here, it's that we discovered that there's an audience for this.
Right.
And we'll probably like your talk show, Mark. Cocktail conversation. You didn't ask me what kind of cocktail.
Oh, yeah. What do you got today?
This is a Quarantini.
Quarantini. There you go.
Quarantini. Yes.
Well, we're both with vodkas.
Yeah. But, we've discovered that there will be some things that will continue that are really positive things. And I think the online teaching and those kind of things, certainly the private lessons, where students can, connect with a teacher privately. Those students that maybe were a little nervous to come into class, or had some hesitancy. This is a great medium to do that.
Yeah. No, I think there are things that will be changed on the other side of this as an organization, for the good, for the bad, but I think the good is the main of it. And I really appreciate you coming on and talking about what's happening. So what are you looking forward to most when we are able to gather again? Where do you want to go? Is there something in particular?
I want to go back to the theater. That's what I want to do. I want to go to the Benedum and sit in the seats and see a great CLO show. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, great. Well, I'm sure as we move through both the campaign for Raise the Curtain and as we make more great decisions for artists and such for the summer, we'll have you back on to talk about that and other CLO projects. We've got some friends out there that want to be on the show, and we'll bring you back to be with them, since you've now, 23 years, 24 years? How many are we at for you now?
This is my 23rd year.
23rd year in Pittsburgh as a CLO at the CLO. Well, congratulations on that. I bet this is not how you thought you'd spend your 23rd year, but we're going to get through this as a team.
We're taking it day by day.
Yes, to quote Godspell.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, sir. Cheers to you for all you're doing.
All right, cheers, Mark.
Tomorrow morning at staff meeting. See you at staff meeting in the morning.
This does not count.
I know it doesn't. No, tomorrow morning. All right. See you later, sir. Have a good evening.
All right. Bye.
Well, there you go. I hope you had a chance to learn some things about the CLO and what we're doing to approach this challenge, but hopefully with wide eyes and energy, and a season for our 70th anniversary to one to remember, as we're calling it. I am thrilled to invite my next guest already on. This next woman is truly a Pittsburgh legend, as it were. She's a Pittsburgh performer you've seen before. May I introduce the one, the only Chris Laitta. Hey!
Hey!
Party in your living room, young lady.
Party, and you're invited.
Oh, excellent. How you doing?
I'm excellent. I have a little cocktail.
Oh, look at that. I even see a waiter bringing you a drink. Look how fancy that is.
We do nothing halfway here.
I know. I've worked with you now on many shows. How are you holding up? You okay?
I'm good. We're making the best of a crazy situation, and holding on.
And you're here in Pittsburgh. Never leave. You're here.
I'm never leaving. No. We're in Pittsburgh, my husband and I, and we're just sort of hunkered in like everybody else. But yeah, we're okay.
Well, you're doing all right. From what I hear, we've talked a couple times, and you're a teacher. When you're not a professional actor, you're also a professional acting teacher at Kappa. And you guys started up school last week, I guess, this week. I don't know.
Yeah,
How's that go? How's teaching online? How is moving to teaching middle and high schoolers online?
I'm not going to lie.
Uh-huh.
There's something really peaceful about being able to mute students.
You're going to miss that when you go back to the classroom, aren't you?
You'll miss that moment where you can just go, Everyone's muted. No, it's okay. I mean, I kind of jumped in with doing the face-to-face thing right away.
Right.
Because I don't know how you teach theater without doing that.
Right.
And that's good. And I'm doing private lessons for like kids in different parts of the country, more tailored to an individual child, which I love.
Right.
So I taught yesterday a kid out in Portland, and we're piecemealing it together like everybody.
Yeah, I know. And how are the kids holding up? Do you get a sense that they're stressed? They're okay? They're excited to be back in school?
I don't get a sense that they're stressed.
Extended spring break.
Many of them attend class in their bed in pajamas, and I think it's so new still. I know people say this has been going on for 6-8 weeks, but for kids, I think, I don't know, at least for my kids, they've been adapting really well. They haven't been depressed. I try to make it fun. I try to have fun with them. And actually, I'm going to dress up in a costume for them on Friday.
Oh,
to
surprise.
Yeah.
So I also know you've used this time to do some more creative ventures. You and your husband started a podcast.
We did.
Right? Talk to me about how that came about, because I think it's very sweet in the story from what we talked about.
So my mom's 85, and she lives in a independent/assisted living. And it's hard. I mean, I think that's the hardest part about this whole experience, is not being able to be with our loved ones and our family members, whether they're elderly or not. And so we started by making songs and sending songs and stories to her, so that she could kind of like feel like she was in the room with us. And then I said to my husband, why don't we do a podcast? Why don't we like make it a thing and, run the gamut of our married life as artists, as pop culture, and, do it to sort of engage my mom, engage the senior citizens and our family. And then we just decided we're going to open it up to anybody. So we make videos, we sing songs, we make videos and send them to her. And then the podcast, which my husband is the entire engineer of the process. I'm like the creative mind. He's the genius behind the scenes. So he wrote like an intro bass medley, and we did a logo, and we're on Apple and Spotify and Anchor. So you can get our podcast, and it's called CP Time, Chris Paul Time. And it's funny. Like we have fun, and we hope that, he has a way to tune in to see where people have listened all over the world. Right. And that's, where are people listening to our little life is kind of fun.
That's great. Well, it's neat to see what people have been doing, whether they've been broadcasting or creating a new thing, but it's neat. And the other thing I know you've been participating in, which is a CLO project, is the Google Doc musical. A little bird told me you've written some things for that. That's the project I talked about last week with Olivia, where we're inviting the community to help us crowdsource a musical. How's that been? Have you written a musical before?
Well, I've written stuff for my kids. I've written a lot of short, I haven't personally written the music, but I've written, where you grab and piecemeal from here and there. I've done a lot of that. But when I saw it up, it was one of those nights where, I would have been at the theater gigging. Right. And I was home, and I was like, I gotta be active. I gotta be creative. And so I sort of jumped on. I think I wrote a little too much because I went on a tear. I just like started typing and having fun. But I just want to stay creative and active, Right. So
that's good.
Trying to do
and I hope others will come out and visit the Google Doc musical, which you can learn about on the Pittsburgh CLO website and also on our Facebook page. It's sort of a fun idea that people are contributing 2 or 3 lines or a page or a song. And then we hope that we'll pull it together. Who knows what's going to come out of it? I haven't gone back to look at it yet. I'm kind of letting it get settled in before I go back and read.
Did you read any of it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
I can't wait. It'll be fun. So before we have you perform, because I asked you to sing a song for us, you've had a great career in Pittsburgh. You've spent your life here. You've chosen to make this your thing. But this, I don't think I'm overstating it to say that much of your career has been at the CLO Cabaret. I think I counted 7 shows, right? We're starting with Forbidden Broadway,
Been to Broadway.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yes.
I Love You, You're Perfect Now, Change, Girls Only.
We did two different Forbiddens, but
all right.
They're all under the same
Umbrella.
umbrella. Yeah.
Right. And then you did Girls Only, and then we put you in the world premiere of Up and Away. I think we even have some video of this. Oh, look at that choreography. Right?
I'm crushing that dance move.
I mean, how many roles did you play in this show? Because this is sort of another one of your skills.
Honestly, I don't even know. Like I had roles where I love that.
Some of your best bits.
The best. I had a lot of roles that didn't have lines, that were just sort of crossovers, which is something I love. I love a moment where you just kind of.
I Smell Shrimp, I believe, is one of them, right?
Yeah. That's close to my heart. There's no doubt.
But that was also a world. Let's go through the list, and I'll come back to these. And then you were in Perfect Wedding as the mother of the bride. There you are with Hope.
I'm always so pretty in all these clips. Yeah.
And then, of course, there was Game On, another world premiere musical.
Yeah.
Right? Where we had you there. And then most recently, The Book of Merman.
Yeah. Where
you played, of course, Ethel Merman. Ah, yes. There you are with Jeremy Rodriguez. So what for you makes, you keep coming back, but I know it's just, you're going to say because we hire you, but what is it about the cabaret as a performer that you seem to like, enjoy? What is it?
I love the close proximity of the audience.
Right.
I love feeling super connected with them. And I love the staff. I love getting to know all the staff, the kitchen staff, the wait staff. I love that it's like a different and bigger community that creates theater. You know, it's like this interesting world. But I love that immediately after the show, you really get to know the audience. You know, you get to know what moved them, what loved them. And not in a like pretentious way that you're hanging around and, you know, waiting to get noticed, but it's sort of the atmosphere is communal and it's friendly. And, you know, after the show, as you walk through the bar or to hang out and meet your family, you meet the other people and they, you know, you just sit and talk with them. I love that. I mean,
yeah, I should say for those who are watching in Peoria or Philadelphia who don't know the cabaret, it's a dinner theater environment, 250 seats with 4 top tables, a very intimate space, wait staff, food, beverage. So the kind of shows we do often reflect that sort of fun and environment. And there's a bar outside called the Backstage Bar that patrons. So you actually have to walk out of the bar to go through. So you often get stopped and patrons want your autograph and talk to you. But it is a sort of an intimate community. And we've done a lot of new work there. And 2 of these we talked about were world premieres that you got to be part of. And you really, I remember during Up and Away, which you were involved in the development. I think we even have a picture of you in some of the readings and a book. Yeah, there you are from, that's Game On. But yeah, so you work with somebody you really, I remember the spark in you and this sort of excitement to me, and you just would not stop talking about.
I love it. Yeah.
What did that ignite in you? We heard a little from Beth about her originating roles. What is it for you?
Well, she kind of nailed it, which is there is this feeling of like creating for you, you know, whether it's you bringing something to the table or the writers being inspired by you. And, you know, most of the time when you do a show, it's sort of laid out for you. You know, the character's been either played before, the director has a very clear vision of what they want. And with new works, it's like a clean sheet of paper. It's like, you know, I love that. I love that. I mean, when we did Up and Away, we joke about it, but I had this character that had, by the time we got to production, there was like 4 or 5 versions of the character. And every day they kind of throw something at me. They're like, okay, this person, you know, has these qualities, make us laugh, do it, you know? And I love that, like, you know, improv energy. And I think with Spark, because you've done a great job with it, it is like a clean page. It is a wonderful time to just play and experiment. And I have been so lucky because Kevin and Kristen and Marcus and David, all the people that I've worked with on world premieres have been so giving and open about what I'm and the other actors are bringing to the room. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's exciting and it's electric, and I hope that I get lots more chances to do it because it fills me up. It makes me crazy.
Well, you are a favorite of the cabaret audiences. I know that for sure. You've also done your own cabaret there, the TV Tunes, right?
We're the longest running independent cabaret show.
There you go. And you'll be back.
Yeah, I hope so. Our cabaret is called TV Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
All TV theme songs. We've had, and the cabaret is the best space for it because it's intimate and fun, and yeah.
I have seen that show. It is lots of fun with guessing games and people just, oh, I remember that show, and verses you've never heard before because they're not part of the opening, giveaways and toys. You really do make the event fun. So I did ask you on to sing for us.
We're going to do something a little crazy. You're
going to do something. You had a crazy idea, you said. So talk us through this and tell the audience what you hope they'll do.
Okay, everybody.
And we'll see what we can do.
Like I said, it's big or go home, right?
Oh, I see a guitar coming in, a bass coming in the background.
Wait, I gotta find my phone. Oh, don't worry about it. So everyone, you need to go get your phone.
Here, I'll show it.
Okay.
We got our phone.
Cool. What we're going to do is we're going to sing one of my all-time favorite James Taylor songs. I'm a huge James Taylor nerd. Actually, I wasn't planning on telling you, but I think I'll tell you. When in college, he came to Penn State, where I went to school, and I did jump up on the stage.
That's not surprising.
During this song that we're going to sing. And I got up on stage, and I didn't want to ruin his mojo because, he was playing. And so I just kissed my hand and I touched James Taylor's cheek and I said, I love you. And then I jumped back into the
before security could drag you off.
Exactly. So we're going to do this song. And what we want people to do is we want them to videotape themselves singing with us. Then we want you to email it to us, and we're going to compile a video of all of us singing together. This is a massive amount of work for my husband.
That's Paul. Everybody say hi to Paul.
My husband, Paul. So if you could all take out your cameras and video. So this is how it goes. It's a call and response song. So I'll say, yeah.
Yeah.
And so when Paul sings, that's when you all sing, and you need to video yourself.
And we're putting up your personal email address. You asked for it.
I'm putting it out there, baby.
Okay.
You know what? Go big or go home. So we need y'all to take out your cameras, video. And I just want to say, before we start the song, I love this organization. It has been incredibly kind and good to me. I'm so grateful. So anybody that's watching and you have the means to support it, please do, because it has made Pittsburgh the most vibrant, wonderful place to live. Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Take your phone.
All right, let's leave it. Now we'll give it over to Chris Laitta and Paul Thompson.
Okay, here we go.
Ready? 3, 4.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I needed the shelter of someone's arms. There you were. I needed someone to understand my ups and downs. There you were. With sweet love and devotion, deeply touching my emotions. I want to stop and thank you, baby. I just want to stop. Thank you, baby. Oh, yeah. How sweet it is to be loved by you. It feels so fine. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I close my eyes at night, wondering where would I be without you in my life. Everything I did was just a bore, and everywhere I've been seems I've been there before. But you've had enough for me all of my days. With a love so sweet in so many ways, I wanna stop and thank you, baby. I just wanna stop. Wanna thank you, baby. be loved by you. Feel so fine. How sweet it is to be loved by you. I want you to do me a favor now. Say yeah.
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 Say yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, how sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by
Chris, Paul, how great. Thanks. One of my favorites too is James Taylor. That has to be a classic. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thanks, Paul, for making a cameo appearance. Let's put that email address up one more time for everybody to send their yes. There it is. Chris Laitta at yahoo.com. Now you know how to reach her, book her for your weddings, your bar mitzvahs, anything you need, right, Chris? Get your autograph. She'll send you an autograph picture. Also, be sure to watch CP Time or listen to your podcast.
Yeah, on your phone. Yeah.
On your phone there. So thanks so much for spending some time with me today, Chris. It's
love
always
you
good to see your
guys.
face.
Anytime. I was gonna wear this for Beth Leavel in honor of the prom.
I'm sure she appreciates that.
But I just wanted to say again, thank you. Everybody stay safe. Special thanks to my husband. I mean, he's amazing.
Good.
Thank
Good. You guys have a great evening. Thanks for being a part of today's show, and we'll see you soon. Bye. Wow, what a fun third episode. What'd you think? Was third time a charm, as I promised? I want to thank my guests, Beth Leavel, Van Kaplan, Chris Laitta, and special bassist, Paul Thompson. Of course, our behind-the-scenes team, Becca, Sid, and Steph, and Adam Overett for our theme song. Be sure to join us next week for our first dynamic duo guest episode. Not only are they CLO alums, they are husband and wife performers. Paige Davis, most known for Trading Spaces, and Patrick Page, Hades of Hadestown, along with local actor Alan Snyder for our cabaret moment. And of course, this episode and our other two can be found on the CLO webpage, YouTube, and Facebook. Please like us, share us, and tell your friends to watch. Before we part, last week we ended the show with a special video about CLO. We're thankful for everyone who appears in the video, for their heartfelt belief in this company and their willingness to share how the CLO has impacted their lives. Yes, you know the CLO for musical theater, but musical theater is the vehicle through which the CLO is able to do so much. Increase confidence and learning skills in young people, nurture homegrown talent, launch careers, entertain audiences, build community, and on and on and on. We received lots of positive comments about that video. Thank you. So as Pittsburgh CLO enters this new era, as we face the challenges ahead to ensure CLO comes back strong for its 75th anniversary season, we're going to share it again today. I ask that you take a moment, think about how the CLO has impacted your life and your family's lives. Please join us as we raise the curtain again. Until we meet again next Thursday, this is Mark Fleischer, hoping that your cocktails are tasty and your conversations are interesting. Cheers.
Pittsburgh CLO is a nonprofit professional theater company based in the cultural district of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Since 1946, we have been dedicated to the preservation, creation, and promotion of live musical theater. And along the way, we've touched thousands of lives.
The CLO to me, more than anything else, means keeping alive for each successive generation the fabulous tradition of musical theater.
I just know I'm going to be entertained. I'm going to love it. It's just going to be a great time.
And it's unique in that I don't know that there are many across the country that have this breadth and scope of all of the initiatives that this organization brings forth.
Through its professional productions and education programs, the CLO has made a lasting impact on our community. The CLO stage has served as a training ground for thousands of performers, stage managers, and directors, launching the careers of industry professionals everywhere.
It takes a village to create a show. Not only is the CLO employing the actors, there's a huge amount of people that are involved behind the scenes.
I've worked for the CLO for 13 and a half years now in many different capacities. It has really, truly given me a purpose in life.
Through our 6 educational programs, we offer professional caliber performing arts training, reduced cost tickets for students, extensive scholarship awards, and special programs for our community partners.
I received the scholarship to do tap, ballet, jazz, singing, and acting.
She has made so many friends here. She has learned so many life lessons.
CLO has changed my life because I've made a lot of friends here, and just being able to come here and talk to them and hang out with them between classes, that's been really fun.
The CLO really gave me the opportunity to step into someone else's shoes, no matter what I look like. Didn't matter the color of my skin, the color of my hair. And it really gave me a lot of encouragement for a future in this career.
I was on the stage with all my friends, and it made me very excited. When I come to CLO, my friends are so very nice and friendly to me.
The CLO produces the nation's longest-running showcase for young talent, the Gene Kelly Awards, honoring the best in high school musical theater.
Seeing the joy and excitement that these kids get by participating in the Kellys is just outstanding, and it makes them work harder. It helps them learn so much. There's incredible scholarship opportunities.
Without that scholarship, I probably couldn't train here. Totally changed my life. It straight up got me into college. That definitely was the most important moment of my life.
CLO is proud to be an important part of Pittsburgh's vibrant arts community, and through its donors and volunteers, provides opportunities for the public to experience and become involved in the power and joy of live performance.
I support Pittsburgh CLO because anything we can do here in Pittsburgh to bring a new connection to a child to musical theater and an adult to musical theater is going to benefit everybody in the long run.
What makes CLO different is its reach. It has the power to reach so many corners of the country. CLO has the ability to cultivate and curate shows here in Pittsburgh that have a life outside.
We want to see this thing continue to thrive, continue to impact the community in the fashion that it does.
I support the CLO because I love it. We have brought Broadway to Pittsburgh.
CLO is a place where you can be inspired. It's a place where your creativity can flourish. It's a place where you can find your voice. CLO is a place for everyone, a family, and there is a place for you.
Without the CLO, Pittsburgh wouldn't be the same place and we wouldn't be the same people. The streets that we're on, where we are right now, the whole cultural district, wouldn't have the same life in the summer without it.
Without the CLO, Pittsburgh would be a few years behind artistically than where we are right now.
Pittsburgh would be empty without the CLO.
It would be less of a city without the CLO.
It's changed my life, and I can't imagine what I would be doing right now without being here, and it's just really amazing. I love it.